Welcome to Train Signal. You are watching the second part of Lab 3 video, Managing Application Lifecycle in brennanbrady.com domain. In the previous video, I showed you how to upgrade and uninstall Office XP and Office 2003. In this video, we're going to tackle a different kind of an issue. What if the application vendor has not provided you with an MSI file? The MSI file is the installation file that is required to actually assign applications in group policy objects. Well, if you don't have it, there is another solution. The solution is to create what is known as a ZAP file. So let's talk about this one. Here's a screen that talks about the Zero Administration Package, also known as ZAP. A ZAP file is simply a text file with a few lines of code, and here's a sample code that I'm going to explain to you in a few minutes. You need to create a ZAP file only if an MSI file for that application is unavailable. ZAP file does have some disadvantages. The first disadvantage is that you can only use the publish method to deploy applications using ZAP. You cannot use assign. Just a little refresher on this. In the assign method, you simply went to start, you went to all programs, and you saw the applications available to you. Clicking on the application actually finished the installation. In the publish method, you actually have to go to start, control panel, and then you have to go to the add remove programs and then manually install the application from there. So obviously the publish method requires a few more steps. However, you can still deploy applications using this method if you do not have an MSI package available. All you have to do is create a ZAP file, the code of which you'll learn in a few minutes, and then publish the application to the network. The only other restriction that is available also is that publish can only be used for users, not to computers. If you recall, the GPO had two sections: the computer configuration section that is used to deploy application to computers, and the user configuration section that is used to deploy application to users. Well, if you do not have an MSI file and then you create a ZAP file, you can only publish to users. You cannot assign and you cannot publish to computers. In other words, the user will have to log in, manually go to add remove programs in the control panel, and then install the application. So here we go. Here's the code for the sample code for the ZAP file. These are the different components of it. You start with the word application in square brackets, and then this is the keyword, friendly name, one word, equal to, and here's a variable. What we are going to do is deploy the application WinZip version 9.0 to the brennanbrady.com domain. So the keyword is friendly name equal to, and over here is what you will type the name of the name of the application. The name that you type over here is exactly the name that will show in the add remove programs in the control panel. So be descriptive over here if you need to. The next command is a setup command, and you will understand this in a moment. This command basically informs the ZAP file to look for the installation program and then actually perform the installation. Display version is again another keyword, equal to, and over here you can simply provide the version number of the application you're trying to publish. And publisher equal to is a keyword that lets you put the name of the vendor that has published this application. Once again, this file has two sections. The section to the left of the equal to sign are the keywords. You have to type exactly the way it appears over here. On the right hand side are the variables. Of the variables, the one that is the most critical is this variable that shows the location of the zip file. And we're going to do an example, and I'll show you how to deploy the application using the publish method. So let's create a ZAP file. What I've done is the following. Let's minimize this and let's go to DC1. On DC1, I have already created our SDP, or software deployment point. What I did was I created a folder called WinZip, I shared it, and in this WinZip folder, I downloaded the WinZip application installation file. Here we go. The file has the extension .exe, so it is not an MSI, and hence I cannot deploy this application directly by using this. What I have to do is create what is known as a ZAP. The ZAP file can be created by using a text processor. So I'm going to go over here and start Notepad, and then over here in the name, I'm going to give it the name zip.zap. Sorry about that. Let's do it again. It is important that the extension of the file has the word zap against it, and I'm going to click over here. It's just warning us that we are changing the default extension of Notepad from txt to zap. Is that okay? And I'm going to say yes. Note the change in the logo over here. This looks like a setup program, and it really is. Now I'm going to right click on this and then say open, and it will open it up in Notepad for me. Now what we have to do is type in this code over here. Okay, so I'm going to type in the code and explain to you as I go along. The first code is in square brackets, the word application. This starts the zap file. So let's do that. Go on to the next line. The next line is a friendly name. This is the name that will appear in the menu once a user tries to install this application. So friendly name equal to is a key statement. I have to type it exactly the way it is. And then over here I can type whatever I want. Just keep in mind, whatever you type over here is exactly what will appear on the screen. So let's do that. Go on to the next line, which is setup command. And I'm going to explain this command a little bit more to you. Let me just finish typing this. Over here, I have to type the UNC name that shows me the location of this file, winzip90.exe, because after all, this is the file that will actually install the application WinZip. So over here, I have to type the UNC name simply because this file will be available, or this zap file will be available to users when they log on from their own computers, and they need to be able to locate this in the network. So the UNC name of this file is 2 slashes, a computer name which is DC1, slash the share name which is WinZip, slash the name of the setup program. So the setup program over here is WinZip 90.exe. I'm showing you the example of deploying the application WinZip. You can basically deploy any application that you want as long as you follow this method. Going on to the next line is a keyword display version. And again, after the equal to sign, I can type whatever I want. This is not a critical line. And the next line is publisher. And in this case, it is published by, let's say, WinZip Computing Company. Alright, so that finishes a zap file. I'm going to save this file and then close this. So this is a software deployment point. It should basically have two files in it. It should have the original code that will deploy the application and a file, the zap file that we just created. Now it's time to create the GPO. So let's do that the same way that we have done before. I'm going to go to admin tools and then over there start the group policy management. This time I'm going to show you how to create a GPO and link it both at the same time. Normally we used to go over here on the group policy object node, right click and say new to create a new GPO, and then later on link the GPO to the OU. In our case, we've used the OU CA for most of the applications. So this time let's do both at the same time. Create a new GPO and link it. To do that, you need to click on CA because this is where we're going to link it. Right click, and then over here I'm going to say create and link a GPO here. So this will do two things for us. It will create the link and also create a GPO. What are we going to call the GPO? Let's call it WinZip. And then click on OK. Now observe this. When I go to group policy objects, the GPO has been created and it has automatically been linked over here for us. Okay, so I'm going to close this. And now let's go back to our GPO and then edit it. So I'm going to select the GPO over here. Right click, edit. And let me just show you what is not going to work. Based on our discussion, we can only publish this to users, not to computers. And the assign method is unavailable to us. So I'm going to deliberately make a mistake over here to make a point. Let's say that I would like to deploy this using the assign method to the computers in a network. So let's see if I can accomplish that. So I'm going to go to the computer configuration just to make a point that it will never work. Click on the software installation link, right click, new package, just exactly like the way we did before. This time we will navigate to DC1 and then pick up our share called WinZip. And if you don't see anything here at the bottom, don't be alarmed because by default it is showing files of the type MSI only. So all you have a point over here. The other restriction was that you could only publish and not assign, and we will see that over here shortly. So I'm going to go over here, and this is the right way of doing this now. We're going to go to user configuration under software installation, right click, new package, and this time we will pick up the package from the WinZip. Again, it's not showing up simply because by default it shows only the MSI types, and here we go. Now this field is available to me and I can pick up zip.zap. Okay. At this point, this is critical. If you have made no mistake in creating the zap file and you click on the open button, you should be presented with this dialog box. If you see an error message over here, you know for a fact that some line of code is improper in that zap file. Just go and fix it based on what I've shown you. And did you notice over here, the assign method was unavailable. So you have to assign it to you have to publish it to users, and you have to go to the control panel to deploy the application. I'm sure I've made my point so far on what is allowed and what is not allowed if you use the zap method. So I'm going to click on the OK button over here. The software got published. Once again, we're going to close this. And just to be on a safe side, I'm going to go to the CAOU and then move this on top so that it gets deployed immediately. Exit out of this. And last but not the least, we need to refreshen or update our GPOs by typing GP. Alright, now it's time to test it out. So let's minimize this. I'm going to minimize all the screens over here, and we're going to log on to client 1 with a user in the California OU, namely Jay Smith. So let's try that. I'm going to double click on client 1. It's making the connection at this point, and we will log in as Jay Smith. Okay, observe the screens now. Okay, we have successfully logged in. Let's find out if WinZip has been published in the control panel. So to do that, let's click on the start button. And let's go to the control panel. It's taking a moment. Okay, and in the control panel, we will go to add remove programs. And over here, we need to click on this item called add new programs. Click on this, and it's looking for programs that has been published across the network, and here we go. WinZip has been added. All you have to do is click on the add button and then continue installation like you normally would, clicking on the setup button over here. Okay, so I'm going to let this finish and then minimize the screen and take you to back to a document while it is installing in the background. So here we go. We just published the application WinZip using a ZAP file. And this code will help you create a ZAP file for just about any application that has an exe file to it. So let us review what has been done so far. If the vendor of the application gives you an MSI file, simply go ahead and install it, and you have two options. You can publish it to users, or you can assign it to users. The other option is to assign it to computers so that once the computer logs on, or once the computer starts and joins a domain, the application will be automatically installed. So that's one option. Well, what if the vendor does not give you an MSI file? In that case, create a ZAP file and then you can publish it to users. In this manner, you can install applications using GPOs throughout your domain. Now, over a period of time, you would have had so many applications deployed either using the publish or the assign method that it is sometimes difficult to keep track of, especially if you are publishing a lot of applications. So what Microsoft allows you to do is one more thing. What they allow you to do is to create what are known as application categories, so that when the user goes to the add remove programs in the control panel, they don't have to look down a long list of applications that they can deploy. They can look at a category and then simply deploy the application that they want. For example, if you were to go to a website such as www.download.com or drivers.com, you want to find a particular driver or a particular application, what you first do is navigate through the categories, whether you're looking for an application that is a word processor, or you're looking for some special kind of a calculator, or an antivirus program, or tools, or a zipping tool. And then in that category, you will find the right application that you need. In a similar manner, you can create categories in GPOs as well. So let me show you how to do that. I'm back on DC1, and now we will use the Group Policy Management console one more time. So let's do that. Now what is important over here is that I don't have to go to any particular GPO to do this. This is very important. I can go to just about any GPO and create my categories. Once the categories are created, you can use it in any GPO. So I'm simply going to go to any GPO that I like. I'm going to go to the Group Policy Objects node and click on the default domain controllers policy. It doesn't matter which one you click on over here. right click on it and go to edit. This time, instead of going on and deploying an application, you'll simply select this, right click, and then say go to properties. This will bring up what is known as the categories tab. Click on the categories tab, and over here you can add different categories. I'm going to create 3 categories over here. So I'm going to click on the add button, and the first category will be tools. The second category would be, in our case, accounting. And the third category that I'm going to create, I'm going to call it programming. The categories will reflect the types of applications that you're deploying in your domain. After you're done with that, click on apply, OK, and then you're done. Once again, all we did was created a category. We did not assign an application to a certain category. We can do that next. But I just want to make a point that no matter which GPO you go to, those categories will be available. So let's do that. I'm going to go to the WinZip GPO because I would like to assign the application WinZip to the category called tools. So even though I created the category over here, I can use it in any other GPO. So let's do that again. Right click on it, go to edit, and this time we will once again go over here and then select WinZip because I'm going to assign this particular application. Go to the properties of that application, and then let's go to the categories tab. See, these are the 3 categories that are available. I can put this application in either of those categories or all of those categories. It does not matter. So if this application qualifies to be an accounting application as well as programming as well as tools, you can leave it in all 3 if you want to. In our case, we will select tools, click on the select button over here, and then apply OK to finish this process. I'm going to close this. So what we have done is we have assigned the application WinZip to the category tools. Once again, we will refresh our GPOs by typing GP update, done. Okay, let's give it a shot. I'm going to minimize all these screens now. We will go back to our client computer and log on as JSmith. So here we go, JSmith. And once we successfully log in, we'll go in one more time to add remove programs in the control panel, and over there we should be able to find a category called tools and be able to find the application WinZip available in that category. So let's try that. Go to click on start. Okay, let's give it a few more seconds. It's still loading. So let's click on start. Let's go to control panel one more time. Add remove programs. And once again on add new program. So clicking on this. This is at this point searching for all the applications. By default, the category is all categories. So all the applications are available under this general category. And then if I click on the drop down box over here, these are the different categories available to us. If I go to tools, I should be able to see WinZip. If I go to programming, because we did not assign WinZip to the programming category, it is unavailable over here. So now you can visualize this. You have several applications that you've deployed on your network. Most of them hopefully will be coming through start, all programs, and then users will simply be clicking over here to install the applications. The ones that you have to publish for whatever reason will show up under the control panel in add remove programs. And over here, if you have done a good job creating the categories, the user can simply go to the appropriate category, find the application that they need, and simply install it. Okay, so this works out great. Let me close all these boxes and go back to our document screen. And this happens to be the last topic in this particular video. So in this video, you learned how to actually upgrade and uninstall the application in the first part of this video. Then I showed you how to create a ZAP file, and I showed you a sample code that you can apply to any application that you would like to publish. We also saw the differences between publishing and assigning. And then we used what is known as a legacy application, an application that does not have the MSI file, and actually deployed it using the publish method and creating a ZAP file. Finally, I showed you how to create the application categories and put the right application in the right category. I thank you very much for watching this video, and I hope to see you very soon in a different video in Active Directory.